They said silence couldn't break kings. They were wrong. I stood in the rain outside the palace gates, my heat suppressants burning through my veins like acid, and watched 3 shadows move behind the curtained windows. My mates, my kings, my betrayers. 1 heartbeat, 1 breath, and the bond I'd spent 6 months trying to bury clawed its way back up my throat. He smelled like home, and I hated him for it. All 3 of them. My name is Ezra Calloway, and I used to believe in fate. Used to. Now I believe in survival. And right now, survival meant standing in a downpour in downtown Seattle, drenched to the bone, staring at the one place I swore I'd never return to. The Northwest Sovereign Pack House. It wasn't technically a palace, but when your mates are the triplet alpha kings who rule half the Pacific coast, semantics don't really matter. I pulled my hood tighter, even though it did nothing against the cold. Nothing did any more. Not since I left. 6 months ago, I walked out of that building with nothing but a duffel bag and a shattered bond I refused to let kill me. 6 months of living in a cramped studio in Capitol Hill, working double shifts at a vinyl record shop, and pretending I didn't wake up every morning tasting their scent on my tongue. Ash, cedar, storm. I hated that I still remembered. Hated that my body still responded. The wolf inside me whined, pressing against my ribs like it wanted to claw its way out and drag me back inside. But I wasn't that Omega anymore. The one who waited by the window, who believed pretty words and empty promises, who thought being chosen meant being loved. I learned better. And tonight, I was here for one reason only: closure. Or maybe revenge. I hadn't decided yet. A black car pulled up to the gates, sleek and silent. The window rolled down, and I didn't need to see his face to know who it was. My skin prickled, heat flaring low in my spine despite the suppressants I'd swallowed an hour ago. Callum Ashford, the eldest, the strategist, the one who always knew exactly what to say to make me stay. Ezra. His voice was low, steady, and it slid over me like a blade wrapped in silk. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood there in the rain like an idiot, because apparently 6 months of distance meant nothing when he said my name like that. Get in the car. No. Ezra. I said no, Callum. I finally looked at him, and God, I wished I hadn't. Dark hair slicked back from the rain, sharp jaw clenched. Gray eyes that looked almost sorry. Almost. I'm not here for you. I'm here because you summoned me. Legal summons. So unless you want me to tell the council you're harassing a bonded Omega outside legal grounds, back off. His jaw ticked. You're not bonded. Not anymore. The words tasted like ash, like cedar, like storm. I turned and walked through the gates before he could say anything else, my boots splashing through puddles, my heart hammering so loud I was sure he could hear it. The bond tugged, vicious and alive, a tether I'd tried to sever and failed. Because you can't sever a royal bond. You can only break yourself trying. The pack house hadn't changed. Tall windows, marble floors, the scent of old power and new money. I used to think it was beautiful. Now it just felt like a mausoleum. I walked through the entrance hall, my sneakers squeaking obnoxiously against the polished floor, and tried not to look at the places I used to love. The corner where Dante, the middle triplet, the wild one, used to pin me against the wall and kiss me until I forgot my own name. The staircase where Silas, the youngest, the quiet one, would sit with me at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, his hand warm in mine. Ghosts, all of it. Mr. Calloway. I stopped, turned. An older woman stood at the base of the stairs, her expression neutral, but her eyes sharp. Margaret, head of house staff. She'd always been kind to me, in her own terrifying way. They're waiting in the study, she said. Great, I muttered. Let's get this over with. She didn't move, just looked at me for a long moment. And I swear I saw something like pity flicker across her face. You look thin? I laughed, bitter and sharp. Thanks. You look exactly the same. Ezra. I'm fine, Margaret. I wasn't. Just tell them I'm here. She nodded slowly, then turned and walked up the stairs. I followed, each step heavier than the last, the bond pulling tighter and tighter until I thought I might snap. But I didn't. Because 6 months ago, I made a promise to myself. I would not break for them again, even if it killed me. The study door was already open. I stepped inside, and there they were. Callum, standing by the window, arms crossed, looking every inch the king he was. Dante, leaning against the desk, all coiled energy and sharp edges, his green eyes tracking me like I was prey. Silas, sitting in the chair by the fire, quiet and still. His blue eyes shadowed. 3 alphas, 3 kings, 3 liars. Ezra, Callum said, and I hated how relieved he sounded. Don't. I held up a hand. I'm here because I was legally summoned, so say whatever you need to say, and let me leave. Dante pushed off the desk, his gaze locked on mine. You can't just, I can, I did, and I'll do it again. I looked at Callum. What do you want? Silence. The fire crackled, rain tapped against the windows, and the bond between us screamed. Silas finally spoke, his voice soft and wrecked. We made a mistake. I laughed. Actually laughed. A mistake? You think what you did was a mistake? Ezra! No. My voice cracked, and I hated it. Hated them. Hated myself. You don't get to do this. You don't get to summon me back here and… You're in heat, Callum said quietly. The world stopped. I stared at him. What? You're in heat, he repeated, stepping closer. And your suppressants are failing. That's impossible. We can smell it, Ezra. Oh, God. Oh, God. I took a step back, my hands shaking, my skin burning. No, You need us, Dante said, and he sounded almost smug. And that was what snapped me out of it. I don't need anyone. I turned toward the door. Especially not you. Ezra, wait. But I was already gone. Running. Again. My feet hit the marble in uneven rhythms, the sound echoing through the hallway like a heartbeat I couldn't control. Behind me, I heard movement. Footsteps. Plural. Of course they were following me. Ezra, stop. Callum's voice. Calm. Commanding. The kind of tone that used to make me melt. Not anymore. I shoved through the side door that led to the east wing, my hands trembling so badly I nearly missed the handle. The heat was crawling up my spine now, insistent and vicious, and I wanted to scream. This wasn't supposed to happen. I'd taken my suppressants. Double dose. Triple, maybe. I'd lost count somewhere around month 4. The hallway blurred. My vision swam. No. Not here. Not now. Not in front of them. I stumbled into what used to be the library, slamming the door behind me and twisting the lock with shaking fingers. My back hit the wood, and I slid down, pressing my palms against my eyes. Breathe. Just breathe. But breathing meant smelling, and the air was thick with them. Ash and cedar and storm, seeping under the door like smoke, curling into my lungs and setting every nerve on fire. A knock. Soft. Too soft. Ezra! Silas. Of course it was Silas, the quiet one, the one who always knew exactly how to slip past my defenses. Please open the door. Go away. You're in pain. I'm fine. You're lying. I laughed, bitter and broken. Yeah? Well, I learned from the best. Silence. Then, quieter. I know you hate us. Congratulations, you figured it out. But you're going into heat, and if you don't let us help… Help? I shoved off the door, yanking it open so fast Silas actually stepped back. His blue eyes widened, and I watched his nostrils flare as my scent hit him full force. Lavender. Rain. And underneath it, the unmistakable edge of heat. You want to help me? Where was that 6 months ago when I needed you? When I begged you to tell me the truth? His jaw clenched. Ezra, when I stood in your bedroom and asked if you loved me, and you looked me in the eye and said nothing, I didn't know what to say. You could have said anything. My voice cracked, and I hated it. Hated the way tears burned behind my eyes. Hated the way my body leaned toward him, even as my mind screamed to run. You could have said you were sorry, that you made a mistake, that you chose someone else. Literally anything would have been better than silence. Silas took a step forward, and I took one back. Don't, I whispered. Don't come closer. Why? Because I don't trust myself around you. His expression cracked. Just a little. Just enough for me to see the guilt underneath. Ezra. I can feel it, I said, my voice barely audible. The bond. It's still there, and I hate that it's still there. I hate that my body wants you even when my brain knows better. I hate that I spent 6 months trying to break something that won't break. And I hate that you're standing here looking at me like you actually care when we both know you don't. That's not true. Isn't it? He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. I turned away, pressing a hand to my chest, where the bond sat like a knot of barbed wire. Just tell me why I'm here, why the summons, and then let me go. We can't. I froze. What? We can't let you go. Callum's voice from somewhere behind Silas. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. Not like this. You don't get to decide that. The council does. His footsteps were measured, deliberate. You were summoned because the bond is destabilizing. Your heat cycle is irregular. You're rejecting suppressants. If this continues, I'll die? I spun around, and there he was. Callum. Perfect, controlled, untouchable Callum. Except right now, he didn't look untouchable. He looked wrecked. Good. At least then I won't have to feel this anymore. His eyes flashed gold. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. Ezra. You broke me. The words came out flat, empty. You and Dante and Silas. You broke me, and now you're mad that I'm not putting myself back together the way you want. Well, too bad. You don't get to control this. You don't get to control me. We never wanted to control you. Then what did you want? Silence. The kind that screams louder than words. I laughed, sharp and humorless. Yeah, that's what I thought. And then the room tilted. 1 second, I was standing. The next, my knees buckled, and the world went sideways. I didn't hit the floor. Couldn't. Because Callum moved faster than I'd ever seen him move, catching me before I fell, his arms solid and warm and wrong. Let go, I gasped. But my body wasn't listening. My hands fisted in his shirt, and the heat spiked so hard I thought I might pass out. Silas, get the suppressants from the med wing. Now! On it. Footsteps. Running. I tried to push Callum away, but I had no strength left. My head lolled against his chest, and I hated how right it felt, how safe, how much I wanted to stay. I've got you, he murmured, and his voice was softer than I'd heard it in months. Years, maybe. I've got you, Ezra. I don't want you to. I know. I hate you. I know. You don't deserve me. His arms tightened, just a little. I know that too. And then Dante was there, crouching in front of me. His green eyes blazing. What the hell happened? Heat spike, Callum said. He's crashing. Silas. Getting suppressants. Dante's gaze locked on mine, and for a second, I saw something flicker across his face. Guilt? Fear? Maybe both. Ezra. Hey, stay with me. Go to hell, I muttered. He smiled. Barely. There's my Omega. Not yours. Yeah, you are. Not anymore. His smile faded. Ezra, you gave me up, I whispered, and the words tasted like blood. You chose someone else, so don't stand there and pretend I'm still yours. I'm not. I'm nobody's. Dante's jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. We didn't. Save it. I closed my eyes, too tired to fight, too tired to care. Just save it. Silas returned, breathless, a syringe in his hand. This'll stabilize him. Do it, Callum said. The needle bit into my arm, cold and sharp, and I felt the suppressants flood my system like ice water. The heat receded, slowly, painfully, leaving me hollow and shaking. There, Silas murmured. You're okay. You're okay. I wasn't, but I didn't have the energy to argue. Callum shifted, lifting me like I weighed nothing, and I wanted to protest, wanted to scream, but my body was too heavy, my mind too fogged. Where are you taking me? I managed. Somewhere safe. I don't trust you. You don't have to. And as he carried me through the halls, past the ghosts and the memories, and the life I used to have, one thought echoed louder than the rest. I should have stayed gone. But should have didn't matter when Callum was carrying me like I was something precious instead of something broken, his heartbeat steady against my ear. His scent wrapping around me like a drug I'd been trying to quit. The hallway stretched endlessly. Familiar. Too familiar. Put me down, I said. My voice came out weaker than I wanted, less convincing. No. Callum, I swear to God, you can barely stand. I can walk. Prove it. I hated him, hated that he was right, hated that my legs felt like water and my head was spinning even with the suppressants flooding my system. Hated that some traitorous part of me wanted to curl into his chest and pretend the last 6 months never happened. But they did. And I wasn't going to forget that, just because my biology was trying to kill me. Where are we going? I asked, eyeing the corridor. This wasn't the way to the guest wing. This was… Oh, no. No. I tried to push against his chest. Absolutely not. You are not taking me to your room. Our room, Silas corrected quietly from behind us. Your room, I snapped. I don't live here anymore, remember? I gave up that privilege when you three decided I wasn't worth the truth. Dante moved ahead, pushing open a door I knew too well. The scent hit me first. Ash, cedar, storm, all of it concentrated, layered, alive. My room, except it wasn't. Not anymore. I'm not staying here. You are, Callum said, setting me down on the edge of the bed so gently it made my chest ache. Until the heat stabilizes. My heat is fine. The suppressants are failing, Silas interrupted, crouching in front of me. His blue eyes were too soft, too concerned, and I wanted to look away, but couldn't. Ezra, you collapsed. You could have died if we hadn't caught you. Maybe that would have been easier. Don't, his voice cracked. Don't say things like that. Why not? I met his gaze head on. You didn't seem too worried about what happened to me 6 months ago. Why start caring now? Silas flinched, like I'd slapped him. Good. Dante moved to the window, his jaw tight, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. He hadn't said a word since we left the library, and that was almost worse than Callum's control or Silas's guilt. Dante was the loud one, the one who filled silences with chaos and laughter and wild energy. Seeing him quiet felt wrong. Say something, I said, staring at his back. What do you want me to say? Literally anything. Yell at me. Tell me I'm being dramatic. Tell me to get over it. Just stop standing there like a statue. He turned, and the look on his face stopped my breath. Not anger, not frustration. Devastation. You want me to yell? His voice was rough, broken. Fine. You're an idiot for leaving. You're reckless for ignoring your heat cycle. And you're going to get yourself killed because you're too stubborn to ask for help. I don't need help from people who threw me away. We didn't throw you away. Really? I stood, even though my legs shook. Because that's what it felt like when I found out you were meeting with the Crescent Moon Pack. When I heard you discussing alliances and political arrangements with their Omega daughter. When I realized you were planning to bond with her instead of me. Silence crashed through the room like a physical force. Callum's expression went carefully blank. Silas looked at the floor, and Dante just stared at me like I'd driven a knife into his chest. That's not what happened, Callum said finally. Then what did happen? I demanded, because from where I was standing, it looked a lot like you were replacing me. It was political, Silas said quietly. The alliance. I don't care if it was political or personal or written in the stars. My voice shook. You didn't tell me. You made plans behind my back. You let me think I was your mate while you were shopping for a better option. There is no better option, Dante said, his voice hard. There's only you. Then why didn't you choose me? We did. You didn't. The words ripped out of me, raw and bleeding. You chose the alliance. You chose the pack. You chose everything except me. And when I asked you about it, when I begged you to explain, you said nothing. You looked at me like I was being unreasonable for wanting honesty from my own mates. Because we couldn't tell you, Callum said, and there was something desperate creeping into his tone now. Something almost human. The council? I don't give a damn about the council, I was shouting now, 6 months of silence and suppression finally breaking loose. I gave a damn about you. I trusted you. I loved you. And you repaid that by lying to my face. We never lied. Omission is still a lie, Callum. And you omitted everything. He opened his mouth, closed it. For once in his life, the great Callum Ashford had no answer. I laughed, bitter and sharp. That's what I thought. Ezra! Silas stood, reaching for me, but I stepped back. Don't touch me. Please. I said don't. My hands were shaking again. My chest hurt. Everything hurt. I can't do this. I can't be in this room with you, pretending like we can just fix this with words. Then what do you need? Dante asked, and he sounded so lost it almost broke me. Almost. I need you to let me go. We can't. You mean you won't? It's the same thing. It's really not. Callum moved between me and the door, and I wanted to scream. The bond is destabilizing. If we let you leave now, in this condition, I'll die. Yeah, you mentioned that. I crossed my arms, channeling every ounce of stubborn defiance I had left. Newsflash. I've been dying slowly for 6 months. At least this way, it'll be faster. That's not funny. I'm not joking. His eyes flashed gold, his alpha rising to the surface, and I felt my omega respond against my will. The pull, the instinct, the biological imperative to submit. I shoved it down so hard I tasted blood. You can't use alpha command on me, I said quietly. Not anymore. I revoked consent when I left. I'm not... He stopped, jaw clenched, breathing hard. I'm not trying to command you. I'm trying to keep you alive. Maybe I don't want to be kept. Ezra, you don't get it. My voice broke, and I hated it. Hated the tears burning behind my eyes. Hated how small I felt standing there in a room that used to be home. You broke something in me. All 3 of you. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know if I want to fix it. Because fixing it means forgiving you. And I'm not ready for that. I might never be ready for that. Silas made a wounded sound. Dante turned away, and Callum just stood there, looking at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. Too little. Too late. "I'll stay," I said finally, "until the heat stabilizes, because apparently I don't have a choice. But after that, I'm gone. And this time, I'm not coming back." "You don't mean that," Callum said. "Try me." He stared at me for a long moment, something unreadable flickering across his face. Then, quietly, "I'll have Margaret bring you some food. And clean clothes. I don't need— You haven't eaten in hours, and you're still shaking." His voice softened, just a fraction. "Please, Ezra, let us take care of you, even if you hate us, even if you never forgive us. Just let us do this." I wanted to say no, wanted to throw it back in his face, but I was so tired and hungry, and my body hurt in ways I didn't have words for. "Fine," I muttered, "but I'm sleeping on the couch. The bed. Couch. Or I walk out right now. Heat be damned." Dante snorted. "Still stubborn as hell. Still not your problem." His smile was sad, broken. "Yeah, you are." And before I could respond, all three of them left. The door clicked shut. Silence flooded in. I stood there for a long moment, staring at the bed we used to share, the pillows that still smelled like them, the room that held too many memories to count. Then I grabbed a blanket, curled up on the couch, and buried my face in my hands. I didn't cry. I was too angry for that. But God, I wanted to. The blanket smelled like lavender detergent and something underneath that was distinctly them. I kicked it off, grabbed a throw pillow instead, and pressed it over my face. Stupid. This was so stupid. I should have just stayed in Capitol Hill. Should have ignored the summons and dealt with whatever legal consequences came after. A fine. Maybe jail time. At least in jail, I wouldn't have to smell cedar and ash and storm every time I breathed. A knock interrupted my spiral into self-pity. "Go away," I called, not bothering to move the pillow. The door opened anyway. Of course it did. "I brought food," Margaret's voice cut through the silence, prim and non-nonsense. "And before you throw it at me, I'm just following orders. Take it up with the Kings if you have complaints." I lowered the pillow and glared at her. She stood in the doorway with a tray that smelled absurdly good, her expression giving away absolutely nothing. "I'm not hungry." "Your stomach growled 3 times while you said that." Traitor. My stomach was a traitor. "Fine." I sat up, shoving my hair out of my face. "Put it on the table and leave." "No." I blinked. "Excuse me?" I said no. She walked in, set the tray on the coffee table, and then sat down in the armchair across from me like she had all the time in the world. "I'm not leaving until you eat at least half of this." "Margaret, don't Margaret me, boy. You look like death warmed over, and I've known you since you were 20 years old and stumbled into this house, smelling like cheap coffee and optimism." She gestured at the tray. "Eat." I stared at her, then at the food. Grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, fresh bread that was still warm. My stomach growled again, louder this time, and I officially gave up on having any dignity left. "This is coercion," I muttered, reaching for the fork. "Call it what you want." "Just eat." I took a bite, then another. And okay, fine, it was delicious. Annoyingly delicious. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until the food hit my stomach, and my whole body seemed to sigh in relief. Margaret watched me with that sharp, knowing gaze of hers. "When's the last time you had a proper meal?" "This morning." "Liar." "Yesterday." "Still lying." I sighed. 3 days ago, maybe 4. I lost track. Her expression softened, just slightly. "Ezra, don't." I stabbed a piece of chicken harder than necessary. I don't need a lecture. I get enough of those from my own brain, thanks. I'm not here to lecture you. She leaned back, folding her hands in her lap. I'm here because those 3 idiots upstairs are too scared to come back in, and someone needs to make sure you don't starve yourself out of spite. I'm not spiteful. You're the most spiteful person I've ever met. Fair. I ate in silence for a moment, trying to ignore the way her gaze felt like it was peeling back layers I didn't want exposed. Margaret had always been good at that, seeing through the walls people built. It's probably why she'd survived decades working for Alpha royalty. They didn't mean to hurt you, she said quietly. I nearly choked on my bread. Are you seriously defending them right now? I'm not defending anyone. I'm stating a fact. She tilted her head. What they did was stupid. Politically necessary, maybe, but stupid. They should have told you. Thank you. I gestured with my fork. Finally, someone with sense. But, she continued, and I groaned. They were trying to protect you. From what? The truth? From the council. Her voice dropped, took on an edge I rarely heard. From pack politics that would have torn you apart. From choices no Omega should have to make. That wasn't their decision. No, it wasn't. She met my eyes. But they made it anyway. Because they love you. And sometimes love makes people do incredibly stupid things. I set down my fork. Love isn't supposed to feel like betrayal. No, it's not. She stood, smoothing her skirt. But it often does. Especially when the people who love you are idiots who think they know better than you do. Despite everything, I almost smiled. You really don't like them, do you? I've worked for the Ashford family for 30 years. I've changed their diapers, taught them manners they constantly ignore, and cleaned up more messes than I care to count. She headed for the door, paused. I don't have to like them to care about them. Same way you don't have to forgive them to still love them. I don't love them. She gave me a look that said she knew exactly how full of shit I was. Finish your food, Ezra, and try to get some sleep. You look like hell. You already said that. It bears repeating. And then she was gone, leaving me alone with half a plate of food and thoughts I didn't want to think. I ate mechanically, tasting nothing, my mind wandering to places I'd spent 6 months trying to avoid. Like the first time Callum kissed me. Or the way Silas used to draw patterns on my skin when he thought I was asleep. Or how Dante would wake me up at 2 a.m. to go stargazing on the roof because he couldn't sleep and didn't want to be alone. Memories. Just memories. Ghosts of a life I didn't get to keep. I pushed the tray away, suddenly nauseous, and pulled the blanket back over myself. The couch wasn't comfortable. Too short. Too firm. But it was better than the bed. Better than being surrounded by the overwhelming scent of them. I closed my eyes, tried to sleep, failed spectacularly, because 5 minutes later, the door opened again. Margaret! I swear to God! Not Margaret. My eyes snapped open. Dante stood in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light, holding what looked like a pillow and another blanket. He looked uncertain, hesitant. 2 things Dante never looked. What are you doing here? I asked. You kicked off your blanket. Thought you might be cold. I glanced down. He was right. The blanket was on the floor. When did that happen? I'm fine. You're shivering. I said I'm fine. He stepped into the room anyway, and I tensed. But he didn't come closer. Just set the pillow and blanket on the arm of the couch, keeping a careful distance. There, he said quietly, in case you change your mind. He turned to leave. Why? The word slipped out before I could stop it. He paused. Why what? Why do you care? After everything. After 6 months of nothing. Why show up now with blankets and concern like you actually give a damn? Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then, because I never stopped. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. He moved toward the door again, and something in me snapped. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the bond pulling tight. Maybe I was just tired of running from conversations I needed to have. You broke my heart, I said to his back. He stopped. I know. You made me feel like I wasn't enough. I know. You stood there and said nothing while I fell apart. His shoulders tensed. I know. So why the hell am I still here? My voice cracked. Why can't I just hate you and leave and move on like a normal person? Dante turned, and the look on his face was so raw it hurt to see. Because the bond won't let you. Because biology's a bitch. And because no matter how much you hate us, some part of you still… He trailed off. Still what? I demanded. Still hopes we're worth saving. The words hit like a punch to the chest. I don't hope that, I whispered. Liar. I don't. Then why are you crying? I touched my face. Wet. When did that happen? Dante took a step forward, and I should have told him to stop. Should have held up a hand. Should have done literally anything except just sit there while he crossed the room and knelt in front of the couch. I'm sorry, he said, and his voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. I'm sorry we hurt you. I'm sorry we made you feel like you weren't enough. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder to tell you the truth. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. He reached out slowly, carefully, giving me every chance to pull away. His hand hovered near my face. But it's a start. I should have moved, should have pushed him away, should have done anything except lean into his touch like a starving man offered bread. His thumb brushed my cheekbone, wiping away tears I didn't want him to see. I missed you, he whispered, every damn day. Every hour, every breath. I missed you so much, I thought I'd go insane. You should have come after me. I wanted to. Callum said to give you space, that you'd come back when you were ready. I didn't come back. I was summoned. I know. His hand cupped my face, gentle and warm and devastating. But you're here now, and I'm not letting you go again. Not without a fight. What if I don't want to be fought for? Too bad. A ghost of his usual smile flickered across his face. You're stuck with me, with all of us. I hate you. No, you don't. I should. Yeah. His thumb traced my jaw. You really should. And then, because the universe apparently hated me, the bond flared hot and bright and impossible to ignore. My breath caught, my skin tingled, and Dante's eyes flashed gold. Your heat, he said roughly. It's fine. The suppressants aren't working. He pulled back, jaw clenched. I need to get Silas. And Callum. You need… I don't need anything. Ezra. Just go. He looked at me for a long moment, something desperate and broken in his expression. Then, quietly, I'm not leaving you alone. Not like this. I don't want you here. Tough. And he sat down on the floor, back against the couch, close enough to touch, but not touching. What are you doing? I demanded. Staying. Dante, you can hate me all you want. Yell at me, ignore me, whatever. But I'm not leaving. He tilted his head back, meeting my eyes. So, get comfortable, sunshine. It's going to be a long night. I stared at him. He stared back. And despite everything, despite the anger and hurt and 6 months of silence, I felt something shift. Just a little. Just enough. You're infuriating, I muttered, pulling the new blanket over myself and pointedly turning away from him. Yeah, well, you bring out the best in me. I almost laughed. Almost. That's the best? God help us all. Too late. Pretty sure God gave up on the Ashfords 3 generations ago. This time I did laugh. Just a little. A short, bitter sound that hurt coming out. Smart deity. Silence settled between us, but it wasn't quite as sharp as before. Dante shifted against the couch, and I could feel the warmth of him through the cushions, solid and real and too close. Tell me something, I said to the darkness. Anything. Why her? The crescent moon Omega. What made her worth the alliance? His breath caught. Ezra, I'm not asking to torture myself. I just need to understand. I kept my eyes on the wall, tracking shadows. What did she have that I didn't? Nothing. That's not an answer. It's the truth. He was quiet for a moment. She had nothing you didn't. She was just politically convenient. Convenient. The word tasted like poison. Great. Glad to know I lost out to convenience. You didn't lose anything. Really? Because it felt a lot like losing when I walked past Callum's office and heard him discussing bond arrangements with her father. When I saw the contract on his desk with her name on it. When I asked him point blank if he was planning to replace me and he said, I stopped, swallowing hard. He said it was complicated. Dante swore under his breath. He's an idiot. He's your brother. Doesn't make him less of an idiot. He shifted again, and I felt his hand come to rest on the edge of the couch near my shoulder. Not touching. Just there. The council was threatening to dissolve our claim to the territory. Said we were too young, too unstable. That we needed to prove we could make strategic decisions for the Pact's future. So you decided to bond with someone else. We decided to pretend to consider it. To buy time. His voice dropped. We never actually planned to go through with it. The whole thing was political theater. Smoke and mirrors to keep the council off our backs while we figured out a real solution. I rolled over, staring at him in the dim light. You're telling me it was fake? The whole thing? Not fake. Just strategic. He met my eyes. We were always going to choose you, Ezra. There was never a question. But we couldn't tell you because if the council found out we weren't seriously considering the alliance, they would have moved to replace us immediately. And if they replaced us, they'd have taken you too. Reassigned you to another pack. We couldn't risk it. My chest felt tight. So you lied to protect me. We omitted truth to protect the bond. All of it. You, us, everything we built. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I know how it sounds. I know it doesn't make it better. But we thought we had it under control. That we could navigate the politics without you getting hurt. How'd that work out? His laugh was hollow. Spectacularly bad, clearly. I stared at him, processing. Part of me wanted to be angry. Wanted to rage at the arrogance of them making decisions about my life without including me. But another part, the part that had spent 6 months wondering if I'd ever been enough, felt something else entirely. Relief. Painful, complicated relief. You should have told me, I said finally. I know. I would have understood. I would have helped. I know that too. He looked away. Callum was convinced it would put you in danger. That the less you knew, the safer you'd be. Silas and I argued with him for weeks. But you know how he gets when he thinks he's protecting someone. Controlling, stubborn, impossible. Exactly. Dante's smile was sad. By the time we realized we should have just been honest from the start, you'd already found the contract, already put the pieces together wrong. And when you confronted us, you said nothing. Callum ordered us not to, said if we broke and told you the truth, it would compromise everything. He turned back to me, and his eyes were bright with something that might have been tears. I hated it. Every second of watching you hurt and not being able to fix it. But I thought we'd have time. That once the council backed off, we'd explain everything, and you'd forgive us, and we'd move forward. And then I left. And then you left. His voice cracked. And I wanted to come after you so badly I could barely breathe. But Callum said you needed space, that chasing you would only make it worse. So I waited. We all waited. And every day you didn't come back felt like dying. Something hot and sharp lodged in my throat. You really expect me to believe that? I don't expect anything. But it's true. He reached out slowly, his fingers brushing my hand where it clutched the blanket. I missed you. Not the bond, not the biological connection. You, the way you'd argue with me about stupid things. The way you'd laugh at my jokes even when they weren't funny. The way you'd look at me like I was worth something more than just my title. Dante, I know sorry isn't enough. I know we broke something that might not be fixable. But I need you to know that it was never because you weren't enough. You were always more than enough. We were just too stupid and too scared to show you that when it mattered. I sat up slowly, the blanket falling away, and looked at him. Really looked. At the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in his jaw, the way his hands shook slightly where they rested on his knees. He looked as wrecked as I felt. There's something else, I said quietly. Something you're not telling me. His expression shifted, guarded. What makes you say that? Because I know you, all of you. And this, I gestured between us. This doesn't explain why the council would summon me back. Political alliances don't require the rejected Omega's presence. Dante was quiet for a long moment. Too long. Dante, what aren't you telling me? He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His shoulders were tense, his movements agitated. There's a reason your heat is destabilizing. My stomach dropped. What reason? The bond. When you left, you tried to sever it. We all felt it. The cutting. The rejection. He turned to face me, and his expression was haunted. But royal bonds don't sever cleanly. They fray. And when they fray, they start to poison both sides. Poison. You're experiencing heat irregularities, suppressant failure, physical weakness. That's the Omega side of bond deterioration. He swallowed hard. On our side, it's different. Aggression, instability, loss of control. Callum nearly killed someone in a council meeting last month because they questioned his judgment. Silas hasn't slept more than 2 hours a night in weeks, and He trailed off. You what? I can't shift anymore. His voice was barely a whisper. My wolf is so tangled up in grief and guilt that he won't come forward, won't respond. It's like he's dying. The air left my lungs. So when you say the bond is destabilizing, I said slowly, you mean it's killing all of us? Yeah. He laughed, sharp and bitter. Surprise. Turns out walking away from a royal bond doesn't just break hearts. It breaks everything. I stood on shaking legs, crossing to where he stood by the window. He didn't look at me, just kept staring out at the rain-soaked grounds like they held answers. How long? I asked. How long what? How long before it kills us? The healers estimate 6 months. Maybe less. He finally met my eyes. You left 6 months ago, Ezra. We're on borrowed time. The world tilted. 6 months. I'd been gone for exactly 6 months. So this, I gestured around the room, at him, at everything, this isn't about wanting me back. It's about survival. No. He grabbed my shoulders, urgent and desperate. No, that's not. Yes, the bond is killing us. Yes, we need to stabilize it to survive. But that's not why we want you back. We want you back because we love you. Because every day without you has been hell. Because I would rather die than spend another 6 months pretending I can function without you. Pretty words? True words. His grip tightened. I know you don't believe me. I know we don't deserve your trust. But I'm begging you, Ezra. Give us a chance to prove it. Let us show you that this isn't just about survival. That you matter more than politics or alliances or anything else. I looked up at him, at the desperation in his eyes, the way his hands trembled against my shoulders. I don't know if I can, I whispered. Then let me help you figure it out. He leaned down slowly, his forehead coming to rest against mine. Please, just don't give up on us yet. Not when we're finally being honest. The bond pulled tight between us. Warm and insistent, and for the first time in 6 months, I didn't fight it. I just breathed. Okay, I said finally. Okay? I'll stay. I'll try. I pulled back enough to meet his eyes. But if you lie to me again, if any of you lie to me again, I'm gone. Bond or no bond. Death or no death. I'm done. Deal. He smiled, small and fragile and real. No more lies. No more lies, I echoed. And then, because the universe had a twisted sense of timing, the door opened. Callum stood in the doorway, his expression carefully neutral, Silas hovering behind him looking worried. We heard voices, Callum said. Congratulations, I replied. You have functioning ears. Dante snorted. Callum's lips twitched, almost a smile. Can we come in? I looked at Dante, at the hope in his eyes, at the careful distance Callum maintained, at Silas's quiet desperation. Yeah, I said finally, you can come in. And as they filed into the room, as the four of us stood in the space we used to share, I felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but maybe, just maybe, the beginning of it. Callum entered first, moving with that careful control he always had, like every step was calculated 3 moves ahead. Silas followed, quieter, his blue eyes finding mine and holding. The room suddenly felt too small. So, I said, because someone had to break the silence, and it apparently wasn't going to be them. This is awkward, Dante laughed. Actually laughed. Only you would make a potentially life-saving reconciliation awkward. It's a gift. I crossed my arms, leaning back against the windowsill. So what now? You all stand there and stare at me? Because I've got to tell you, it's creepy. We're not staring, Silas said softly. You're literally staring right now. I'm observing. That's worse. That's so much worse. Callum's lips twitched again, and this time it actually became a smile. Small, but real. You haven't changed. Sure I have. I'm angrier now, and I have commitment issues. Fair. The casual acknowledgement surprised me. Callum didn't usually do casual. He did controlled, measured, perfectly diplomatic. Seeing him like this, slightly rumpled, walls down even a fraction, was disorienting. Dante told you, I said. Not a question. About the bond deterioration? Callum moved closer, slowly, like I was a spooked animal. Yes. And you're okay with him spilling pack secrets? They're not secrets, not from you. He stopped a few feet away, maintaining that careful distance. They never should have been. Wow, an admission of fault. Someone write this down. Ezra, Silas said, and there was something pleading in his voice. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Sorry. Defense mechanism. When I'm uncomfortable, I get mouthy. We know, all 3 of them said in unison. Despite everything, I smiled. Okay, that was actually kind of cute, in a creepy triplet way. We've had a lot of practice, Dante said, moving to sit on the arm of the couch. 26 years of finishing each other's sentences will do that. It's disturbing, is what it is. You used to think it was charming. I used to think a lot of things. The words came out sharper than I intended, and the temperature in the room dropped. Sorry, I'm trying here, but it's a lot. We know. Callum took another step closer. And we're not expecting everything to be fixed in one conversation, but we need to establish some ground rules, for your safety and ours. Ground rules. I raised an eyebrow. This should be good. The bond needs to stabilize, which means we need to be in proximity, regularly. Define regularly. Daily, at minimum. He held up a hand before I could protest. I'm not saying you have to move back in, but visits. Supervised if you want. Whatever makes you comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable with any of it? His expression tightened. Then we all die, slowly, painfully, while the bond tears itself and us apart from the inside. Cool. No pressure then. Ezra. Silas moved forward, his approach gentler than Callum's. We're not trying to force you into anything. But the healers were clear, without regular contact, without letting the bond breathe. We're all on a countdown clock. I looked at him, really looked. The dark circles, the way his hands trembled slightly, the exhaustion etched into every line of his face. You look terrible, I said quietly. You should see the other guys. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Actually, you are seeing the other guys. We all look terrible. Speak for yourself, Dante muttered. I'm maintaining my rugged charm. You look like you got hit by a truck. A very attractive truck, I snorted despite myself. You're ridiculous. You're stalling. He was right. I was. Because the alternative was admitting that seeing them like this, broken and barely holding together, hurt worse than the betrayal had. What exactly does letting the bond breathe entail? I asked carefully. Callum and Silas exchanged a look. Time together, Callum said finally. Conversation, physical proximity. That's vague. Intentionally. His gray eyes met mine. Because it depends on what you're willing to give. The bond responds to intention as much as action. If we spend time together and you're completely closed off, it won't help. But if you're even slightly open to reconnection, it might save our lives, I finished. Fantastic. So basically, you're asking me to emotionally invest in the people who broke my heart so we don't all die horrible deaths. When you put it that way, it sounds bad, Dante said. It is bad. Yeah, Silas agreed quietly. It really is. And if there was another way, any other way, we'd take it. But there isn't. I pushed off the windowsill, pacing because standing still felt impossible. This is insane, all of it. 6 months ago, you let me walk away. You could have told me about the bond deterioration then. Could have explained that leaving would kill us. But you didn't. Because we didn't know, Callum said. Royal bonds are rare. The deterioration effects aren't well documented. By the time the healers identified what was happening, you were already gone, and bringing you back just to tell you that you were trapped. He shook his head. We wanted you to come back because you wanted to, not because you had no choice. Well, now I don't have a choice. You always have a choice, Silas said. You could still leave. Let the bond deteriorate. We'd all die, but you'd be free. I stopped pacing, staring at him. You can't seriously be suggesting. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm stating facts. His voice was steady, but his eyes were desperate. We will never force you to stay, Ezra. Even if it kills us. Even if it kills you. The choice is yours. The room fell silent. Rain pattered against the windows. The fire crackled. And somewhere in the distance, I heard thunder. You're all idiots, I said finally. Probably, Dante agreed. Definitely, Callum amended. And you want me to just… what? Pretend the last 6 months didn't happen? Pretend you didn't hurt me? No. Callum moved closer, close enough that I could feel the heat of him. We want you to acknowledge that we hurt you, that we were wrong, and then decide if we're worth forgiving. That's a lot to ask. I know. I don't know if I can do it. I know that too. He reached out slowly, telegraphing the movement, giving me every chance to pull away. His hand came to rest on my cheek, warm and solid. But I'm asking anyway, because the alternative is losing you forever, and I can't do that again. My breath caught. The bond flared, warm and insistent, and for the first time in months, I didn't immediately shove it down. I let it sit, let it burn. If I do this, I said quietly, if I try, it's on my terms. We go slow. We talk. Actually talk. No more secrets. No more political maneuvers without my input. And if at any point I feel like you're lying to me again, I'm gone, dying bond or not. Deal, Callum said immediately. All of you have to agree. Deal, Silas and Dante said in unison. I looked at each of them in turn. Callum, with his careful control, starting to crack. Silas, with his quiet desperation. Dante, with his barely contained hope. My mates, my kings, my idiots. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Callum's eyes closed briefly, relief washing over his features. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm still mad at you. I know. Like, really mad. I know. And I'm going to make your lives difficult. We're counting on it, Dante said, grinning. I rolled my eyes but couldn't quite suppress my smile. You're all insane. Probably. Silas moved closer, completing the circle around me. But you're kind of insane. That's debatable. Is it, though? He reached out, his fingers brushing my wrist. The touch was light, questioning. Because you're still here. You could have run the moment we told you about the bond, but you stayed. Temporary insanity. Or maybe, he said softly, you still care, even if you don't want to. I opened my mouth to deny it, to throw up another wall, another defense. But I was so tired of lying. Yeah, I admitted. Maybe I do. Silas smiled, real and warm and devastating. That's all we need. Just maybe. Don't get used to it. Wouldn't dream of it. The bond hummed between us, not healed but not fraying anymore either. Stabilizing. Just a little. Dante moved behind me, not touching but close enough that I could feel him. So, what now? Now. I looked around at the three of them, at the careful hope in their eyes. Now someone tells me there's more food, because I'm still hungry. And if we're doing the whole emotional bonding thing, I'm doing it on a full stomach. Callum laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was rusty, like he hadn't done it in months, but real. I'll call Margaret, he said. Tell her to bring the good dessert. If I'm potentially dying, I want chocolate. Noted. As he pulled out his phone, Silas settled onto the couch, patting the space beside him. Sit. You're still shaking. I was. I hadn't even noticed. I sat, and Dante immediately dropped onto my other side, close but not crowding. The warmth of them, the scent, the solid presence, it should have felt suffocating. Instead, it felt like coming home. This doesn't mean I forgive you, I said. We know, they replied in unison, or that everything's okay. We know. Or that I'm moving back in. We know. Okay. Just making sure we're clear. Silas's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. Crystal clear. And as Callum ordered enough food to feed a small army, as Dante started telling some ridiculous story about a council meeting gone wrong, as Silas's thumb traced gentle patterns on my palm, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 months. Hope. Fragile. Tentative, easily broken. But there. So, there I was, Dante was saying, his eyes bright with mischief, standing in front of the entire Pacific Council, and this ancient alpha from the Northern Territories is going on and on about traditional pack values and the sanctity of hierarchical bonds, and I just— "You didn't," I said, already smiling despite myself. "I absolutely did." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Sir, with all due respect, your traditional values are showing, and they're about 2 centuries out of date." Silas groaned. The room went silent for a full minute. "It was glorious," Dante grinned. "Callum looked like he wanted to murder me, but he couldn't because technically I wasn't wrong." "You violated every diplomatic protocol we have," Callum said, but there was no heat in it. He was leaning against the desk, phone still in hand, and the corner of his mouth was quirked up. Worth it. The look on that pompous jerk's face was priceless. I laughed, and it felt strange. Good, but strange. Like using muscles I'd forgotten I had. What happened after? The Northern Alpha demanded an apology. I told him I'd apologize when he entered the current century. Callum had to physically remove me from the chamber. "You're a menace," I said. "You love it." The words hung in the air between us, too close to truth, too raw to be casual. Dante's smile faltered, and I saw the exact moment he realized what he'd said. "I mean, you used to," he amended quietly. "Yeah," I said. "I did. Used to." Past tense. The shift in mood was immediate. Silas's hand tightened around mine. Callum's expression went carefully neutral again, and Dante looked like he'd been punched. "Food's on the way," Callum said, breaking the silence. "Margaret says 20 minutes. "Great." I pulled my hand free from Silas's, suddenly needing space. I need to use the bathroom." I stood, and the room tilted slightly. The heat was still there, lurking under my skin, kept at bay by the suppressants, but not gone. Never quite gone. "You okay?" Silas asked, rising with me. "Fine. Just need a minute." I headed for the ensuite bathroom, closing the door behind me and leaning against it. My reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. Pale, tired, eyes too bright, hair a mess. I looked like someone barely holding it together. Because I was. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to slow my racing heart. This was too much. Too fast. An hour ago, I'd been ready to walk out of this house and never come back. Now I was sitting on a couch with them, laughing at stories, holding hands like the last 6 months hadn't happened. Like I hadn't spent every night since I left crying myself to sleep. Like they hadn't ripped my heart out and left me to bleed. The bond pulsed, warm and insistent, and I pressed a hand to my chest. "Stop," I whispered to it. "Just stop." It didn't. A knock at the door made me jump. "Ezra," Callum's voice. "You've been in there for 10 minutes. Had I?" Time felt slippery. "I'm fine." "You're not." A pause. "Can I come in?" "No. I'm coming in anyway." "That's not how consent works, Callum." Another pause. Longer this time. "You're right. I'm sorry. Take your time." I heard his footsteps retreat, and something in my chest cracked. He'd listened. He'd actually listened. I opened the door. Callum was standing a few feet away, his back to me, shoulders tense. He turned when he heard the door, and his expression was so carefully controlled it made me angry. "Stop doing that," I said. "Doing what?" "That. The whole, I'm perfectly fine and completely in control thing. You're not fine. None of us are fine. Stop pretending. I'm not. You are. You're doing it right now." I moved closer. Exhaustion making me bolder than I should have been. "You want honesty? You want me to try? Then you try too. Stop being King Callum for 5 seconds and just be real with me. His jaw clenched. I don't know how to do that anymore. Try. Ezra. I'm terrified, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I'm terrified that I'm going to let myself care again, and you're going to break me worse than before. I'm terrified that this bond is going to kill us all because I can't get past what you did. I'm terrified that even if I forgive you, I'll never trust you again. And I'm so tired of being scared. Callum stared at me, something raw and broken flickering across his face. I'm terrified too. Of what? That you'll forgive us, but never love us again. That we'll stabilize the bond and you'll stay out of obligation instead of choice. That I'll spend the rest of my life watching you look at me like you're looking at me now. How am I looking at you? Like you're trying to remember why you ever cared. The words hit like a physical blow. That's not... I stopped. Okay, maybe a little. But can you blame me? No. He stepped closer, and I let him. I can't blame you for anything. This is my fault, all of it. I convinced Silas and Dante that keeping you in the dark was the right call. I drafted the fake alliance contract. I told them not to come after you when you left. Every decision that led to this moment was mine. So what? You're falling on your sword now? Taking all the blame? I'm taking responsibility for my choices. His gray eyes held mine. They were wrong choices. And I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix 6 months of hell. I know. He reached up slowly, his hand hovering near my face like he was afraid to touch me. But it's all I have. Sorry, and the truth, and a desperate hope that maybe, eventually, it'll be enough. I should have stepped back, should have maintained distance, should have protected myself. Instead, I leaned into his touch. His hand cupped my cheek, warm and solid, and I watched his eyes close like the contact physically hurt. I missed you, he breathed. God, Ezra, I missed you so much. You had 6 months to come find me. I know. You could have called, texted, shown up at my door. I know. But you didn't. Because you were giving me space I never asked for. His eyes opened, and they were bright with unshed tears. I was trying to do the right thing. You did the Callum thing, the controlled, calculated, emotionally distant thing. I pulled back, and his hand fell away. That's the problem. You're so busy trying to protect everyone that you forget to actually connect with them. That's not fair. Isn't it? I crossed my arms. Name one time in our relationship where you actually let yourself be vulnerable. Where you weren't 3 steps ahead, planning contingencies and managing outcomes. He opened his mouth, closed it. Exactly, I said. That's how I'm built, Ezra. Strategy, planning, control. It's how I've survived leading this pack since I was 18. I'm not the pack. I'm supposed to be your mate. You are my mate. Then treat me like one. The words came out louder than I intended, sharp and desperate. Stop trying to protect me from the world and just be with me. In it. Messy and complicated and real. I don't know if I can. Then we're already dead. The words hung between us like a guillotine. From the other room, I heard voices. Silas and Dante talking quietly. And underneath it, the sound of the front door opening. Margaret with the food, probably. Callum, Silas called. We have a problem. Callum's expression shifted instantly, going from raw to controlled in a heartbeat. King mode. Always king mode. What kind of problem? He called back. The kind with claws and a council seal? My stomach dropped. Callum swore under his breath, already moving toward the door. Then he stopped, looked back at me. Stay here. Excuse me? This is council business. It's not… Not what? Not my concern? Not safe for the delicate Omega? Anger flared hot in my chest. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You don't get to lock me away and handle things without me. Ezra, I'm not trying to… Then don't. I pushed past him, heading for the living area. I'm coming with you. Ezra. But I was already through the door. Silas and Dante stood near the entrance, flanking a figure I recognized immediately. Elder Marcus, from the Pacific Council. 70-something, sharp as a blade, and absolutely ruthless when it came to pack politics. His eyes locked on me, and he smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Omega Calloway, he said smoothly. How convenient. This saves me a trip. Elder Marcus, I kept my voice level. To what do we owe the pleasure? Official council business, I'm afraid. He pulled a sealed envelope from his jacket. I'm here to deliver a formal summons for all four of you. Callum moved to my side, his presence solid and protective. On what grounds? Bond neglect, territorial instability, and… His smile widened. Suspicion of fraudulent alliance negotiations. The room went deadly quiet. That's absurd, Callum said, but I heard the tension underneath. Is it? Elder Marcus looked between the four of us. You three claim to be negotiating in good faith with the Crescent Moon Pack. Yet here stands your supposedly rejected Omega, very much alive and very much still bonded. One might wonder if the entire alliance discussion was a ruse. It wasn't, Dante started. Save it for the hearing. Elder Marcus set the envelope on the table. You have 48 hours to appear before the full council. Failure to comply will result in immediate forfeiture of your territorial rights and dissolution of your pack bonds. You can't do that, Silas said. We can, we are, and we will. He turned toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Omega Calloway? The council would like to have a private conversation with you, separately, to ensure you're here of your own free will and not under duress. My blood ran cold. He's not, Callum began. I'll do it, I interrupted. 3 pairs of eyes snapped to me. Ezra, no, Callum said. I'll do it, I repeated, staring at Elder Marcus. When and where? His smile was predatory. Tomorrow, noon, council chambers, come alone. Fine. Ezra, Silas reached for me. It's fine, I said, not looking at any of them. I can handle it. Elder Marcus chuckled. I'm sure you can. Good evening, kings. Omega. He nodded and left, the door closing behind him with a soft click. Silence crashed down. What the hell was that? Dante demanded. That, Callum said quietly, was a trap. For who? All of us. He turned to me, and his expression was anguished. You can't go to that meeting. I have to. No, you don't. We'll figure out another way. There is no other way, I snapped. They're investigating the alliance. If I don't show, it looks like you're controlling me, like I'm not acting of my own free will. It'll only make things worse. And if you do show? Silas asked quietly. What do you think they'll ask you? I knew exactly what they'd ask. Did the kings lie to you? Did they manipulate you? Are you staying out of choice or coercion? Do you want to be here? And I didn't know how to answer. Because 6 hours ago, the answer would have been simple. Now everything was complicated. I'll handle it, I said again. Ezra, I said I'll handle it. The words came out sharper than I intended, laced with a heat that had nothing to do with biology and everything to do with fear. Stop trying to protect me from everything. Stop making decisions for me. Just stop. The bond flared, hot and painful, and I gasped. Callum was at my side instantly. Your heat is fine. I pushed him away, even though it hurt. I need air. I need to think. You can't leave, Dante said. Not with the council circling like this. I'm not leaving. I headed for the balcony door. I need space. 5 minutes. Please. I didn't wait for permission. The balcony was cold, rain still falling in sheets, but I welcomed it. The shock of it. The clarity. Behind me, I heard them arguing, voices raised, tension thick, and I realized with sudden, crushing certainty, this wasn't going to work. The council knew about the fake alliance. They were going to us if I lied. I'd be protecting them again, sacrificing myself again, choosing them over my own pain. Again. The realization hit like ice water. I couldn't do this. I couldn't save them and save myself. One or the other. And I had 48 hours to decide which. The rain soaked through my shirt in seconds, cold and relentless. But I didn't move, didn't go back inside. Just stood there staring at the Seattle skyline, at the lights blurred through the downpour, trying to find an answer that didn't exist. Behind me, the balcony door slid open. I said I needed space, I said, without turning. I know. Silas's voice. Soft, careful. But you're standing in a thunderstorm, and I'm worried you're going to catch pneumonia out of spite. Despite everything, I laughed. You know me so well. Yeah. He stepped up beside me, not touching, but close. I do. We stood in silence for a moment, both of us getting drenched, both of us pretending that was normal. You're thinking about running, he said finally. How did you? Because I know you. And because running is what you do when things get too complicated. He turned to look at me, rain streaming down his face. You ran 6 months ago. You're thinking about doing it again. Maybe I should. Maybe. He didn't argue, didn't try to convince me to stay. Just acknowledged the possibility like it was a valid option. But you won't. You sound pretty confident about that. I am. He smiled, sad and small. Because despite everything we've done, despite how much we've hurt you, you're still here, still trying. And that tells me everything I need to know about who you are. Or maybe it just tells you I'm an idiot with self-destructive tendencies. That too. His smile widened slightly. But you're our idiot. And we're kind of attached to you. Silas. I heard what Callum said about the meeting tomorrow being a trap. He ran a hand through his wet hair, pushing it back from his face. He's not wrong. The council is going to try to use you against us. They'll ask questions designed to make us look negligent, controlling, like we've been manipulating you. Haven't you been? The words came out quieter than I intended, but they landed like stones. Silas flinched. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think anymore. I turned to face him fully. 6 months ago, you made decisions about my life without telling me. Today, you're asking me to trust you again. Tomorrow, I have to sit in front of the council and decide whether to protect you or protect myself. And I'm so tired, Silas. I'm so tired of having to choose. Then don't. What? Don't choose. He stepped closer, and the rain fell between us like a curtain. Tell the council the truth. All of it. What we did. Why you left. How the bond deteriorated. Tell them everything. I stared at him. That would destroy you. The council would use it as proof of negligence. They'd strip your territorial rights. Disband the pack. I know. You'd lose everything. Not everything. His hand came up slowly, cupping my face like Callum had earlier, but gentler, sadder. We'd still have a chance at keeping you, and that's worth more than territory or titles or any of it. My breath caught. You can't mean that. I do. His thumb brushed my cheekbone, wiping away rain or tears, I couldn't tell which. Callum will fight me on this. Dante too, probably. They'll want to strategize, find loopholes, protect the pack. But I'm telling you right now, if it comes down to choosing between our reign and your freedom, I choose you. Every time. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Love definitely isn't. He leaned his forehead against mine, and I could feel him trembling. I'm not asking you to protect us, Ezra. I'm asking you to be honest. Whatever that means. Whatever it costs us. Why? My voice cracked. Why would you do that? Because 6 months ago, we chose politics over you. And it broke all of us. His eyes met mine, blue and clear and devastating. I'm not making that mistake again. Not for anything. The balcony door slid open again, harder this time. Silas! What the hell are you doing? Callum's voice, sharp with tension. Get inside, both of you. In a minute, Silas said, not looking away from me. Now, you're both soaked. Ezra's heat is unstable, and we have exactly 47 hours to figure out how to handle the council without losing everything. Let it go, Silas said. Silence. Then, carefully. What did you just say? Silas turned, keeping one hand on my shoulder like an anchor. I said, let it go. The territory. The titles. All of it. If that's what it takes to make this right. Callum's expression went very still. Very cold. You're not serious? I am. We've spent 8 years building this pack, protecting this territory, defending our claim against every challenger who thought we were too young, too inexperienced, and I'd give it all up in a heartbeat if it meant Ezra could be free of this mess. Silas's voice was steady, certain. Wouldn't you? The question hung in the air like a blade. Callum looked at me, then at Silas, then back at me. Something flickered across his face. Anger, fear, and underneath it all, something that looked almost like relief. It's not that simple, he said finally. It is, Silas insisted. We tell the truth. We accept the consequences. We start over. And the 200 pack members who depend on us for protection? The families? The Omegas who came to us because other packs rejected them? Callum's voice rose. What happens to them when the council dissolves our territory and redistributes everyone to packs that may or may not accept them? They'll be reassigned, Silas said, but he sounded less certain now. To where? Under whose protection? Callum moved closer, his control slipping, his alpha presence filling the space. You think the Northern Territories will take them? The Eastern Coalition? They'll be separated? Scattered, vulnerable, and that's if they're lucky. Callum, I started. No, he turned to me, and his eyes were blazing. You want honesty? Here it is. If we lose our territorial claim, it's not just us who suffer. It's every person who trusted us to keep them safe. Every Omega who found sanctuary here. Every family who built a life under our protection. And I won't sacrifice them. Not even for you. The words hit like a slap. So, what are you saying? I asked quietly. That pack comes first? Still? Always? I'm saying it's not a choice between you and them. It's all of you. And I have to find a way to protect everyone. Even if it means lying to the council? His jaw clenched. If that's what it takes. No. The word came out firm, final. I'm not doing this again. I'm not being the secret you keep, or the problem you solve with strategy and half-truths. Ezra! You want to know what I'm going to tell the council tomorrow? I stepped away from Silas, away from both of them, putting space between us. I'm going to tell them the truth. That you negotiated a fake alliance behind my back. That I left because I thought you were replacing me, that the bond deteriorated because of choices you made. All of it. Callum's face went pale. You can't. Watch me. That's pack suicide. They'll use it to destroy everything we've built. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you lied to me in the first place. The words were cruel, designed to hurt, and they landed perfectly. I watched Callum's expression crack, watched the careful control shatter, and felt nothing but hollow vindication. Fine. His voice was cold now, distant. King mode in full effect. Do what you have to do. But don't pretend you're doing it for noble reasons. You're doing it because you're hurt, and you want us to hurt too. You're damn right I do, I shot back. You broke my heart. You broke the bond. You broke us. And now you want me to fix it by lying? By sacrificing myself again? Hell no. I'm done being the martyr in this relationship. Then what do you want? Dante's voice, from the doorway. He'd been so quiet, I'd almost forgotten he was there. Seriously, Ezra, what do you want from us? Because we've apologized, we've explained, we've offered to give up everything, and it's still not enough, so tell us, what would be enough? I looked at him, at the raw desperation in his eyes, and felt something inside me break. I don't know, I whispered. I don't know if anything would be enough, because the problem isn't what you can give me now. It's what you took from me then. You took my trust, my certainty, my belief that I mattered more than politics, and I don't know how to get that back. So that's it? Dante's voice cracked. We're just done? You're going to tank us with the council and walk away? I'm going to tell the truth. What happens after that is up to you. Bullshit. He moved forward, and there was something wild in his eyes now, something desperate. You're making a choice right now. You're choosing to destroy us instead of working with us. And you can dress it up as honesty or freedom or whatever makes you feel better, but at the end of the day, you're choosing revenge. And what if I am? The words tore out of me, raw and bleeding. What if I want you to feel a fraction of what I felt when I found that contract? When I realized you'd been planning my replacement? When I begged you for the truth and got silence? Maybe I do want revenge. Maybe I want you to lose something you love so you understand what that feels like. The silence that followed was deafening. Silas looked like I'd stabbed him. Callum's expression was carved from stone, and Dante just stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. Okay, Callum said finally, his voice empty. Okay. He turned and walked back inside. Silas followed after a moment, his hand slipping from my shoulder like a goodbye. Dante stayed. You know what the worst part is? He said quietly. What? If you'd asked me 6 months ago if I thought you were capable of this, of deliberately destroying us, I would have said no. I would have sworn on my life that you were too good, too kind, too forgiving. He smiled, bitter and broken. Guess I was wrong about that too. Dante, save it. He headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I get it. I do. We hurt you, and you want us to hurt too. That's fair. That's human. But don't kid yourself into thinking this is about honesty or freedom. This is about making us pay. And if that's what you need, fine. We'll pay. But don't expect us to thank you for it. He left. And I was alone on the balcony, rain pouring down, the bond screaming in my chest, and the weight of what I'd just done crushing me from the inside out. I'd meant it. Every word. I was going to tell the council the truth, even if it destroyed them, even if it destroyed me, because I was so tired of being the one who broke for them. This time, they could break for me. My legs gave out, and I sank to the wet balcony floor, pressing my hands over my face as the sobs finally came. Harsh, ugly, the kind that hurt. Inside, I heard movement, voices. They were probably strategizing already, trying to find a way to minimize the damage I was about to cause. Good. Let them scramble. Let them hurt. Let them feel what I felt. Except even as I thought it, I knew it was a lie. Because hurting them didn't make me feel better. It just made everything hurt more. The bond pulsed, weak and fraying, and I wondered if this was it. If this was how it ended. Not with dramatic declarations or grand gestures, but with all of us too broken to fix what we'd shattered. Thunder rumbled overhead, and I sat in the rain, alone, and tried to convince myself I'd made the right choice. I was still trying when the balcony door opened again. Margaret stood there, an umbrella in one hand and a towel in the other, her expression unreadable. "Come inside, Ezra," she said. "I can't." "You can, and you will." She stepped onto the balcony, holding the umbrella over both of us. "Before you catch your death out here." Maybe that would be easier. Maybe. She draped the towel over my shoulders. But I didn't raise those boys to take the easy way out, and I'm not about to let you start. I looked up at her, and she looked back, unflinching. "I'm going to destroy them," I whispered. "Maybe." She helped me to my feet. "Or maybe you're going to save them." Hard to tell the difference sometimes. And she led me inside, out of the rain, back into the warmth where 3 alphas waited with broken eyes and desperate hope. Back into the choice I still had to make. Margaret guided me to the couch, wrapping the towel tighter around my shoulders. The 3 of them stood scattered around the room like chess pieces after a game nobody won. Callum by the window, Dante near the door, Silas on the far side of the room, all of them maintaining careful distance. From me, from each other. "Sit," Margaret ordered them. "Margaret," Callum started. I said sit. Her voice carried that tone that had probably terrified them as children. "All of you. Now." They sat. She looked at each of them in turn, then at me. "I've worked for this family for 30 years. I've seen you boys grow from stubborn children into stubborn men. And in all that time, I've never seen you make a mess this spectacular." "We know," Silas said quietly. "I'm not finished." She crossed her arms. "You 3 made mistakes. Big ones. You lied. You manipulated. You thought you knew better. And you," she turned to me, "you ran instead of fighting. You decided they weren't worth the effort of demanding better. That's not, isn't it?" Her gaze was sharp. "You loved them. They hurt you. And instead of making them work to fix it, you left. Made it easier for everyone to give up." The words stung, because they were true. "But here's what I know about all 4 of you," she continued. "You're stubborn. You're proud. You'd rather bleed than admit you need help. And you love each other so much, it's making you stupid." "Margaret," Callum tried again. "Still not finished." She moved to the center of the room. "Tomorrow, Ezra goes to the council. He tells them whatever he's going to tell them, and you 3 will have to live with the consequences. But tonight, right now, you have a choice. You can spend the next 12 hours blaming each other, protecting yourselves, building walls, or you can be honest. Really honest. No strategies, no defenses. Just 4 people who love each other, trying to figure out if that's enough." She headed for the door, paused. "I'm going to bed. Don't destroy my good furniture while you're having your emotional crisis." And then she was gone. The silence she left behind was suffocating. I pulled the towel tighter, suddenly freezing despite the warmth of the room. The bond hummed between us, weak and damaged, but still there. Still trying. "She's right," I said finally. About all of it. Ezra, Dante began. Let me finish. I looked at each of them. I was going to destroy you tomorrow. Tell the council everything and watch your world burn. And part of me still wants to. Because you hurt me. And I want you to understand what that feels like. Callum's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. But Margaret's right about something else, too. I ran. When things got hard, when I felt betrayed, I didn't fight. I just left. And that's on me. I stood, letting the towel fall. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to the council meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to tell them the truth. But not the truth you're afraid of. What do you mean? Silas asked carefully. I mean, I'm going to tell them that you made mistakes, that you tried to protect me in the stupidest way possible, that the bond deteriorated because we were all too proud and too scared to fix it properly. I moved to the center of the room, standing where Margaret had stood. But I'm also going to tell them that I'm choosing to stay, not because of the bond, not because I'll die otherwise, but because despite everything, I still believe you're worth the effort. Dante's breath caught. You are? Silas whispered. I am. I looked at Callum. But I have conditions. Real ones. Non-negotiable. Name them, he said immediately. No more secrets. Ever. I don't care how politically sensitive something is. You tell me. You trust me to handle it. You treat me like a partner, not a liability. Done. I'm not finished. I turned to Dante. You stop trying to fix everything with charm and deflection. When things are hard, you don't run to humor. You stay. You feel it. You let me see it. He nodded, throat working. Okay. And you? I looked at Silas. You stop sacrificing yourself for everyone else. Your needs matter too. Your feelings matter. Stop trying to be the peacekeeper and just be honest about what you want. I want you, he said simply. That's all I've ever wanted. The bond flared, warm and bright, and I felt it. Really felt it. Not the biological pull or the desperate need, but the choice underneath. The love that had survived 6 months of silence and pain and pride. Then you have me, I said. All of you do, but on my terms. We do this as equals, or we don't do it at all. Equals, Callum repeated, and he was moving now, crossing the room in 3 long strides. Partners. Yes. Mates. He stopped in front of me, and his hand came up to cup my face. Real ones. The kind who fight and make up and choose each other every day. Yes, I breathed, and then he kissed me. Soft at first, hesitant, like he was afraid I'd pull away. But I didn't. I leaned in. And the kiss deepened, 6 months of longing and regret and desperate hope pouring between us. When we broke apart, Dante was there, his hand sliding into mine. I'm sorry, he said, for all of it, and I'm going to spend every day proving I can be better. You already are, I told him. Silas approached slowly, carefully, like I was something precious he was afraid to break. I love you, he said. I should have said it 6 months ago, should have said it every day. I love you, Ezra. Choose me, choose us. Please. I pulled him close, felt Dante's arms come around us from one side, Callum's from the other, and finally, I let myself believe it. I choose you, I whispered. All of you. Every stubborn, infuriating, impossible piece of you. The bond surged, no longer fraying but strengthening, knitting itself back together with golden threads of intention and choice and love. The council, Callum started. We'll handle it, I said. Together. Whatever they throw at us, we face it as a unit. No more divide and conquer. Together, they echoed. And as we stood there, wrapped in each other, the bond humming content and whole between us, I felt something I hadn't felt in 6 months. Home, not the building, not the territory, not the titles or the politics or any of it, just them. My mates, my kings, my home. So, Dante said, his smile returning, does this mean you're moving back in? Don't push your luck. Too late. Luck's all I've got. I laughed, real and full, and kissed him just to shut him up. Tomorrow, we'd face the council. Tomorrow, we'd deal with politics and consequences and whatever came next. But tonight, we were whole, and that was enough. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Hit subscribe. The next story drops soon.